Hi, my name is Tameka Thomas, and I chose to do my persuasive speech on the increasing state funding for Child Protective Services. This is something that I'm very passionate about, and because I volunteer for organizations known as CASA and Reading to Kids, and a lot of organizations that deal with children that are in foster care. Also, my husband is a Child Protective Services caseworker in conservatorship, and so we deal with these types of issues on a daily basis. Also, I just realized that this was not one of the assigned topics you gave us, but I've already done so much work, so hopefully this will be okay. All right, so again, I'm doing my presentation, my persuasive speech on increasing state funding for Child Protective Services, why the children need it, and why it's also important for the caseworkers. So, why the increase is needed for the children? Well, there are thousands of children that are in imminent danger in Texas who have cases that have yet to be investigated. I mean, there is such a shortage of investigators, and there are so many children that are in dire need of care for one reason or the other. You know, the parents may be on drugs. The parents, you know, there are cases that are just as simple as the parents are just really poor and they are struggling to provide for their kids, which I know is an extremely sad case because, I mean, who wants to take children away from parents who are actually trying? But, you know, sometimes that needs to be done if the kids are not eating and if they're not able to bathe and have clothes and things of that sort. On an average day, nearly 700 unseen children are classified as extreme cases. Now, these could be cases of parents that do drugs and are heavy in the drugs. I mean, I've seen a case where, you know, the parents basically stayed at a drug hotel and had their children across the freeway at another hotel, pretty much taking care of themselves as they went on binges. So it is very important that we have enough investigators who are not loaded down with work that are able to go and see these cases firsthand so that then we can remove these children from these situations and hopefully provide them a better life. A case that was very recent in March of 2016 this year, a 4-year-old, her name was Leilani Wright. She was literally beaten to death after CPS workers failed multiple times to protect her, pretty much because their caseloads are so heavy, which we'll see in the next slide. I'll go into further detail about that. But I mean, this is a little girl whose life could have been saved, a 4-year-old child. Makes me quite emotional to think that had we had the manpower, had CPS and the state had the resources, that her life could have been saved. So again, why the increase is needed for the caseworkers. Most people probably don't know this, but CPS investigators are currently overwhelmingly, I mean, they're so overwhelmed with their caseloads. You'll have one person that's dealing with 30 cases, and those 30 cases are not just the children. Those 30 cases, depending on where they are within the CPS, the Child Protective Services system, they could be visiting parents, foster parents. They're transporting these kids from one part of the state to the other state. I mean, their responsibilities are so great that we as taxpayers just think, oh, geez, you know, they don't need that much money. They don't need this. But if you actually knew a person like myself, I know this firsthand because my husband works 16 hours a day. There are days that he has to work his normal 8 to 10 hours and then turn around and go back again at 3 in the morning till 8 in the morning and then continue on to work. So they are overwhelmed with the amount of cases that they have. Also, many investigators are new hires that unfortunately, a lot of times due to no reason of their own, they make a lot of mistakes. But I put improper training, but let me explain how I mean that. I think it's because of the great turnover that they're being pushed into the field a little too soon. And also, special investigators claim that they are putting children at risk in their custody due to being assigned tasks that they're not equipped for, because they're being pushed into the field so soon because the need is so great. So, how the increase in funding will help? Well, for one, the increase in funding to CPS will increase wages for caseworkers, and it'll make it a more attractive position. Pretty much right now, you can go to school, you need to have a 4-year bachelor's degree, which we all know we pay a lot of money for. But you come out making maybe $35,000 a year. So it's not a very competitive wage, especially given all the work that you have to do. Also, increased wages will lower, hopefully, the turnaround and retain veteran caseworkers who have put in the time and the work and who are passionate about what they do, but a lot of times have to leave the position simply because they have to support their livelihood as well. Increasing the funding to CPS will allow CPS to recruit more caseworkers, which, as I've explained earlier, is in dire need. It's 100% needed, which will then in turn decrease the caseloads. So in conclusion, as I stated, more funding is needed to improve CPS as a whole, to improve child protective services, but also for the investigators and conservators and everyone on down the line. Improving CPS investigations will help obviously keep children safer, and in my opinion, we do owe it to the children to do whatever is necessary to keep them safe. As we know, they did not ask to be here. They did not ask to be here, but it is our duty as a country to protect them and to take care of them because they are our future. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and that I have persuaded you to help in the fight to increase funding for child protective services and welfare services as a whole. Thank you.